What if the path to global peace wasn't paved with treaties or political summits, but sparked in a single, silent moment between a pope and a rabbi? What if history's turning points don't arrive with trumpets or headlines, but in the quiet reverence of a Vatican room, where two spiritual leaders, one in white, one in black, meet face to face, carrying centuries of hope, pain, and unspoken promises? That fleeting handshake, barely noticed by a distracted world, wasn't just a gesture. It was a seismic shift in the spiritual realm. Not a photo op, not diplomacy. It was Pope Leo XIV, mere hours after his inauguration, stepping into a sacred encounter, one that most of the world missed. Not because it was hidden, but because we've forgotten how to recognize what truly matters. When faith and politics meet, we brace for conflict. But when faith meets humility, something sacred is born. Something that whispers of prophecy, prayer, and the age-old question: can there be unity without losing identity? Can dialogue exist without diluting truth? Can peace be more than a fragile truce? Can it become transformation? That's what happened in that marble-lined Vatican room, and no one's talking about it. Until now. Picture the scene. The echo of Leo's inauguration still lingers in St. Peter's Basilica. The world expects rest, celebration. Instead, on his first morning, Pope Leo convenes a meeting, not with diplomats, but with faith leaders from every corner of the globe. Orthodox patriarchs, Protestant pastors, Muslim scholars, Hindu monks, Buddhist teachers, and a Jewish rabbi carrying the weight of 2,000 years of complex history. It wasn't arranged for headlines. It was a moment where history paused and heaven leaned in. This wasn't pageantry or shallow diplomacy. It was sacred. In Leo's eyes, quiet intensity. In the rabbi's, sacred recognition. Two sons of Abraham, standing in a legacy of wounds, exile, persecution, misunderstanding. That history wasn't erased. It was acknowledged, then transcended. Not a handshake, but a bridge, laid stone by stone between two ancient faiths, two wounded stories, one shared longing for peace. Leo's message to them wasn't fiery. It was dangerously peaceful. He spoke of bridges, dignity, and Pope Francis's legacy of encounter, but went further. Not tolerance, but transformation. Not compromise, but courage. The courage to walk together without pretending to believe the same things, yet still recognizing the sacred in each other's soul. We're conditioned for speeches and slogans, but what if peace is built not on words, but on presence, on showing up, listening, seeing? This meeting wasn't about optics. It was about reverence, for the sacred, for difference, for the possibility that the world's fractures can be mended, not by force or politics, but by faith. Leo is showing us something ancient, the power of spiritual presence. He speaks less, prays more, corrects not with condemnation, but clarity. He doesn't erase differences. He embraces dignity, a faith that stands firm, yet bows low. The shock wasn't in what was said. It was in what was felt. If a pope and a rabbi can meet without fear, if Catholics and Jews can pray for peace, what else is possible? Could fractured families be healed? Could nations rediscover humility? Could we, the Church and the world, relearn reverence? It begins with a question, not for leaders, but for you. Are you a bridge builder or a wall maker? A listener or an arguer? Will you believe that peace starts not with power, but with prayer? After the handshake, the world moved on, but a holy silence lingered. Not because nothing happened, but because something too sacred for words had begun. Most missed it. But beneath the gold ceilings of the Vatican, a crack appeared in modern indifference, and light leaked through. This wasn't diplomacy, it was prophetic. The Church's history with the Jewish people is long and painful. From inquisitions to ghettos to reconciliation. For Pope Leo to prioritize this meeting within 24 hours of his election, it wasn't politeness. It was intention, a declaration. The Church's heart is open, not vaguely, but deeply. Not sentiment, but restoration. Leo's strength doesn't chase headlines. It seeks meaning. He stood shoulder to shoulder with the world's faith leaders, not to say all beliefs are the same, but to say all people are sacred. This is rare. A pope fresh from the spotlight, speaking not just to Catholics, but to the soul of humanity. It's not about agreement, it's about encounter. Not to win, but to understand. Centuries ago, this meeting would have been impossible. Even decades ago, it would have been tense. Today, under Leo, it became communion, not flattening belief, but elevating dignity. Behind Vatican elegance and religious formality, something tender happened. Sacred listening, not cold tolerance, but Christ-like presence. Leo chose reverence, not a fortress church, but a lighthouse. Skeptics will ask, why does it matter if doctrines remain? The answer, because truth doesn't fear encounter, and faith, when secure, listens. This is the Church at its best, and Leo is quietly calling it back to that best. His first act wasn't political, it was personal. Face to face with the world's spiritual others, he said, before doctrines, let's look one another in the eye. For the Rabbi, and for all who carry the weight of exile, wounds, misunderstanding, the message was clear. You're not asked to surrender your faith. You're invited to walk in peace. Real peace demands memory, courage, and above all, silence. That's what this was. A silent act of courage, daring to believe that God speaks in rooms without microphones, that healing starts when ancient wounds are acknowledged. This is more than one meeting. It's a pattern. Leo is reintroducing the Church to its true role not as a referee of morality, but a bridge over the floodwaters of division. Not to dilute Catholic truth, but to deepen Catholic love. His call isn't for uniformity, it's for unity rooted in dignity. He speaks of our shared spiritual heritage not as diplomacy, but as divine truth, a covenant, a revelation, a God who still calls his people to love. This moment recalls a story. In a small European village, a Catholic child fell ill. His father, desperate, entered a synagogue seeking quiet. The rabbi welcomed him without debate, just warmth. He prayed. He visited the boy, and in that shared suffering, a village changed. Faiths didn't blur, they touched, not through theology, but tenderness. That's what Leo invites, not statements, but reverence. The Church is strongest, not when it shouts, but when it kneels, not when it rules, but when it washes feet. Leo's silence is his sermon. His voice? It's the whisper of Christ among strangers. So what does this mean for you? This isn't just a Vatican story, it's a mirror. The bridge isn't in Rome. It's in your heart. You won't meet rabbis or visit basilicas daily, but you meet people. Wounded, searching people. Will you meet them with indifference or with the love that builds bridges? Leo isn't asking us to dilute faith. He's asking us to deepen it, to love first, to live unity before we preach it. Peace begins with your next conversation with your neighbor, your coworker, your enemy. Leo's message is clear. Now is the time for dialogue and building bridges. But it's not just a message, it's a mission, a divine summons. You were born in this era for a reason. You have a part to play. And days after that meeting, something stirred in Rome. Quiet, unexpected, spiritually charged. Whispers of what Leo might be planning, not for politics, but prophecy. It's not in the headlines yet, but it's pulsing beneath the surface. That's for the next video. If this moved you, like, share, subscribe. Send this to someone who needs to believe again. Because what's coming could change everything.